Welcome to this next edition of CTQ Smart Levers. So, Ramanand, today we're going to talk about the IDEO brainstorming method. What is this all about?
So IDEO is a globally renowned consulting firm around design. They pioneered in many ways the mainstreaming of design thinking. And one of the things that we learned from IDEO was their approach to brainstorming. Now, before that, brainstorming was thought of just a synonym for let's meet, let's swap some ideas. But if you read IDEO's approach to brainstorming, there is a little bit of a structure to it. And brainstorming is not just this let's shoot the breeze. It is very clear purpose of taking a problem statement, approaching it in a methodical way, and then allowing that space for creativity. So their rules of brainstorming, rein in that chaos that could happen. We've all been in situations where we said we'll brainstorm and we realize that it goes all over the park. So IDEO has 7 recommended rules of brainstorming. I'll mention a few of them. So one of them, very powerful one, is deferring judgment. So in any brainstorming process, you have a group of people together and you're eliciting ideas from them. What happens is that a group setting there can be an invisible censor in the room. So it could be the leader who sort of takes a step back and his body language shows that he didn't really like that idea. Or it could be someone who responds to an idea that you make and say, that won't work. Why not do this instead? So these kinds of words, they indicate sort of tacit disapproval. In some cases, the disapproval could be much more obvious and in your face. So a great start is defer judgment. The goal of that brainstorming phase is to get as many ideas out into the open as possible. And if you have a weak idea, someone else can build on it. So that's another rule of brainstorming, that when you listen to something and you think it could be improved, keep your language positive and say, can we also do this on top of that? And that's how the whole thing starts to mushroom. Then there are rules like, one conversation at a time. Stay focused. Sometimes you get so excited that there are groups, subgroups, and everyone is talking in a corner. Not good for brainstorming. We need to hear everyone else's ideas. Then there is this deliberate push towards being wild. Don't rein in yourself. So beware of that censor that also lies within us, and don't hesitate to volunteer. So 7 such rules of running that little wonderful brainstorming session that you have planned for yourself.
Right. And two things that I remember as some things that struck me were when people come together, start with individual ideas, right? Instead of just talking about it, because then you'll actually have more ideas to start with. And the other one was the insistence on some kind of prototype. I think that to me makes the whole exercise a lot more tangible, a lot more concrete as it really means. So yeah, I've also been a big fan of this method of brainstorming. So where have we used, how have we helped our clients, customers use this brainstorming method?
So we often find ourselves in situations where we're facilitating this kind of brainstorming sessions, and we've done different flavors of brainstorming. Something that we did recently, we called future storming, because we were helping a company think ahead to what its hybrid work strategy should be like. And so the starting point is a blank canvas. No one really knows what to say, but they have some latent ideas bubbling under the surface. So when we are always in these situations where we are getting a diverse group of people together and we want to coax them, even if they are all friends with each other, they're always in this execution mode. So we have to help them first unlearn that execution mode, which is where, or that efficiency mode. And that is where the emphasis on going wild can be very important. We often find ourselves having to help them build on the ideas and not cut off ideas too early. So there are a lot of these situations where we've actually demonstrated how to use it. But one other thing that we often do is creating a culture of innovation within an organization, and therefore we'll help take the message of the brainstorming rule, the process behind brainstorming, to people who are in turn facilitating such conversations. This could be team leads, this could be individual captains of hackathon teams. So disseminating this information far and wide within an organization is also some a place where we have used these methods.
Right, right. And what would you say is the danger that can happen because you don't know about this, method of brainstorming?
Correct. So, it's very easy to say, let's brainstorm and feel that you have, contributed to innovation in your company. There are so many hidden traps if you are the leader and you're calling together a group of people to help you solve a problem. Let's take a problem like how should we return to work? What is the best way? How do we, if we really desire participation from our team in this decision, uh, great, but just calling people into a meeting and not having a discipline to run that meeting. Creativity is as much about discipline as it is about letting your mind wander free. And so a lot we've seen this mistake repeatedly where leaders do all the wrong things. Take something like prototyping or visualization. In a return to work strategy, you can actually put together a simple prototype. You can say, if you've proposed that we will have hot desking and we need people to book desks for it or equipment for it, you can cook up a role play very easily to try and see what it really means. And these are the kinds of things that anyone who's running a or thinks they're running a brainstorming meeting gets wrong. The effect of it is your meeting is useless. You didn't get any effect out of it, and your team went away further demoralized, thinking it didn't matter. I didn't really need to be in that room.
Right, right. So you have sort of covered the kind of roles that will also benefit from this, but do you want to call out any specific roles, where people will benefit from using this process?
Yeah, so I think that every leader, whoever is in charge of a meeting, needs to know this. There are times when you may not be in brainstorming mode, but if you really want to harness the creativity of your team, you must have a process around brainstorming, whether it is this particular method or something else, doesn't matter. You must have some discipline around it so that you can let your team free. So that's a very simple thing to do. But you know everyone is a leader in their own right at some point, right? So we are all responsible. Even the junior most employee, when they are asked to propose a solution the first time they've been invited to do this, they are also not very sure how to go about that process. So I would say that anyone who is pitching an idea within an organization, anyone who is doing an exercise all by themselves, they may be even trying to write an article about their work, and your mind is all over the place. A brainstorming method like this can even be used at an individual level, where you use a Pomodoro method along with it. You say, for 15 minutes, I'm just going to list down all these crazy ideas and build on them and be visual. And at the end of it, I can come back to being more level-headed about this. So anyone who is in charge of a creative process or wants to contribute to a creative process should know these rules of brainstorming.
Right. I think the biggest advantage of having these frameworks is that you won't miss out on something, right? There are no blind spots. You even if you decide not to do something, it is a very deliberate choice of skipping that part or step in the process. And I think that is what we should take away from this whole idea of this creative genius just doesn't exist. They all have a process, they all have a framework that they follow. We better do the same thing in our work as well. So thanks, Ramanand, for this.
Thanks, Harish.